I'll turn the mic up there. Good afternoon to you. Welcome to Monarchs Live. Dan Vaughn, voice of the Kansas City Monarchs. Glad you're along here on Facebook Live today. Happy Tuesday to you. Whatever's going on, let me turn the volume down right here. Let's do that. There we go. We know we're all rocking and rolling. We're glad you're along. Got a great show for you. I'm going to tell you all about it next. Let's roll it open. You guys love it? Let's do a little jazz. You ready? It's going 3, 2, 1. Here we go. It makes me want to dance and groove and something. I feel energized. Maybe it's that or the decent weather throughout the Midwest, or maybe it's the fact that, I don't know, we saw some Major League Baseball on TV over the weekend, and you've probably seen box scores float across your news feeds or whatever. Maybe that's it. It's also March. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's a combination platter. It's got us all where we're at here. Again, Dan Vaughn with you. Glad you're along. Monarchs Live is the show. Kansas City Monarchs in the American Association is what we do. It's what we're about. It's what we're rocking and rolling. Got a great show for you. Let me pull the graphics up too. This is unique in the fact that the actual broadcaster is actually producing the show as he rolls along. So it kind of makes it kind of cool. So glad you guys are along here on Facebook Live. Like just a bit there. Okay, and I'll get your questions and comments, so stand by. Glad you're along. I see a lot of you folks checking in right now. Yeah, gosh, they're starting to log in. So make yourself a sandwich. Got your lunch at the office, an extra cup, whatever. Let's sit down and talk a little bit. Here's what I got for today. Lineup card looks like this. My question for you, and I didn't ask this last week or 2 weeks ago. I want to start getting you guys involved in this kind of back and forth. It's your show. You guys back and forth. What are you looking forward to the most for the upcoming Monarch season? There's got to be something. For some of us, it may just be the fact we can walk through the baseball gate. Maybe it's a frosty adult beverage, or it's a hot dog, whatever it is. Maybe it's time with the family. Maybe it's seeing Darnell Sweeney launch a home run. There's got to be something. So what are you looking forward to? So throughout the show, let me hear you guys tell me what you're looking forward to. What is it you're fired up about that, man, I just can't wait to do at the old ballpark? So that's throughout the show. Monarchs 101 coming to you. It's our continual class. We walk you through the history of the Kansas City Monarchs. We're really going, we're in the early stages of the Intro 101 class. We're going to take a look at a guy I've talked about. We're going to actually do a two-part. This guy probably could merit a whole semester, but at least 2 parts, maybe 3. But part 1 of our look at J.L. Wilkinson. We're going to talk about Wilkie a little bit. We're going to start about we've talked more about him in the latter years, in his Monarch years. I want to give you the foundational years and some really interesting, a couple of interesting tidbits. That'll be a Monarchs 101 coming up in the second half of the show. Hot stove update. That's been busy again. Throw more wood in that fire. There's plenty to talk about there. We will do that. Get you an update from the hot stove. Didn't talk to Joe Cathpietra personally, but was on the conference call yesterday. I can tell you he's busy in earnest and got things kind of, we're going to talk a little bit about why, and Steve Schuster is going to join us. I'm going to ask him about that. I know he'll bring it up because I think it's a little different right now than any year previous, not just because of the pandemic, but also roster moves and other rosters are going, and we'll probably chat about that. Hopefully, it's on my list of things to chat about. But we'll do the hot stove update, also checking the league notes, and of course, your Monarchs updates, tickets, what have you, and all the good stuff. But we lead things off. A guy that I've known since 2013, when he was in Wichita. He goes back, I believe, to 08, 09, somewhere in there. We worked in Wichita. He's now been in Winnipeg since then. a guy that really professional in every sense of the word is what he is. But I thought it was important that we were jumping around the league to talk to all the broadcasters, get a look at what's going on. I really love their story, the Winnipeg Goldeyes story of 2020. And I mean, they were basically a barnstorming team. They're the only team in the association who last year did not they didn't get a chance to play anything at home. Not even, St. Paul got half a season at home. Fargo was one of the hubs. Remember, Milwaukee and Chicago finally got their situation ironed out. But poor Winnipeg. Sioux Falls had their own ballpark, but Winnipeg had to travel a bit. I just want to get his insight. The guy knows the league as well, so we're going to chat with him off the top. So let's roll right into it. Our special guest is Steve Schuster, that voiced the Winnipeg Goldeyes. Here we go. Oops, let's not do that. Wrong one there. There we go. Let's try it again. Steve Schuster voiced the Winnipeg Goldeyes. There we go. How about that? Well, the show continues. As promised, the one and only Steve Schuster of the Winnipeg Goldeyes, the voice of the Winnipeg Goldeyes. First off, Steve, man, good to see your face. Always a pleasure to have you. And, man, how you doing?
Yes, same here. Thanks for having me on, Dan. Great to see you as well. And the schedule came out a couple of weeks ago, so I think we're all just super excited to hopefully have something close to a normal year with everybody playing this year.
Yeah, that was a nice Christmas present for everyone. Late, of course, after the new year. I want to go back to 2020. I was inspired. We didn't play, obviously. The Monarchs, T-Bones at the time, Monarchs now didn't play. A little disappointed about it. I got to be honest with you. It was tough to not play and see a lot of you guys doing your thing. But I was inspired by you, by the Winnipeg Goldeyes, just what you guys did. That was a hell of a challenge, I think, last year. Walk us through that. Was it as tough as it was, at least from what I see? It looked like a tough seat to watch. Was it as tough of a thing for you guys?
Yeah, well, first, hats off to Josh Buckle and Josh Schaub for
Absolutely.
kind of pulling everything off. And for that matter, all the owners. I mean, the owners of the teams that did play and the owners of the teams that weren't able to play last year.
Absolutely.
For, agreeing for that 16 league to kind of carry forward. And of course, to the players, the coaching staffs, and the managers for following the protocols and getting through from start to finish. I mean, it's pretty remarkable. I know there was a bit of a hiccup COVID-wise at the beginning of the year, but when all was said and done, there were only 2 games that got canceled the entire season, and it was the last day, and it was a rain out because they didn't matter in terms of the pennant race. So no games are lost at the end of the day to COVID. So just hats off to everybody that was involved. But I think we all had a blast. I mean, was it challenging to be on the road for the entire year? I mean, sure. But it really wasn't that different from, going on a road trip in previous seasons. You were just kind of on the road there for 2 months. And I think what helped mitigate some of that was we were all just appreciative to have the opportunity to play because, the 6 teams that were in it in the American Association last year, they were the only teams across North America professionally and minor league baseball wise that were playing something close to a normal year with fans in the stands, with travel, where it looked like a normal season. So I think that kind of helped. I do think that towards the end of the year, and you kind of see how things shifted in terms of wins and losses for Winnipeg, that, being on the road, I think the fatigue and facing some of the challenges you mentioned, I think that did maybe catch up to the players, but they fought hard to the very end. And even during that tough 11-game losing streak we had in August, there was never a point where you felt like they just gave up. They were gassed, so to speak. They were tired, fatigued, battling injuries, and a lot of that just kind of caught up to them. But they fought to the very end. They were able to kind of rebound that last week, even after they were eliminated. They were able to take 2 out of 3 from Milwaukee on the road there, and they were clearly the best team last year, Milwaukee. So I thought that was a nice way to finish up the season. But all in all, we were just appreciative to be able to play last year, and hats off to everybody that made it happen.
Yeah, it was a big hats off to a lot of folks. As a broadcaster, usually, and I'm using the word barnstorming, you really weren't a barnstorming team because you guys, just a separate deal. But usually when a team doesn't play home games, they don't have a broadcaster. But you were in the unique situation you did. What were the challenges for you being the voice of the Gold Eyes. I mean, obviously we're used to being on the road, but for that long of a stretch, was that a challenge for you?
I wouldn't say so, honestly. I kind of embraced it. And, I guess I was in the same boat as some of the, really the players and the coaches
Right.
and everyone else, from the sense that I was just really excited to do it. I felt for you and like Benning and Brad and Connor
Sure.
Ryan and everybody that didn't get to do it. This is what we love. This is what we live for. Doing the games, getting to the season, and just kind of getting lost in that 3 hours every night when the players take the field. So, um, you know, I feel tired at the end like everybody else,
Sure.
absolutely. But I was just thrilled and grateful for the opportunity to be able to do games when so many other broadcasters weren't able to last year.
That voice is Steve Schuster. I'm Dan Vaughn. We're on Monarchs Live here. Little early day edition, a Tuesday as opposed to a Wednesday, but voiceless Winnipeg Gold Eyes. Now, Winnipeg, we're in the same league, but we don't see each other like we see like our brother down in Cleveland. But from I think all Kansas City fans and association fans know where it really starts for the Gold Eyes. Rick Forney. I mean, Rick Forney, and he has the same characteristics. And I want to ask you this because you see him every day. I think of Greg Taggart. I think of George Samus, who's now in King County. Of course, my love for Joe Cafabiantra. Guys like that, they all have something in common. They're really good recruiters. Rick Forney's a really good recruiter, but I think what comes with that, he's a heck of a good guy too.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. I mean, I think all those guys you mentioned have a lot of things in common. They're great recruiters. I think they have very similar standards as far as the type of
Right.
people that they want in the clubhouse. It's not just about bringing in the best players, but guys that are going to kind of fit their system and their philosophy, and just you know foster a good clubhouse chemistry. Because I mean, you've been around this for a long time. I mean, it only takes one or two bad apples for things to maybe go a
Yeah.
little bit sideways, and that can sometimes spill over into the wins and losses. But it's funny. I mean, if there's anybody that can maybe understand the grind of being on the road the whole year, it's Joe Calpapietra.
Yeah.
Doing that with
Yeah.
the Cats back in 2002. I mean, I think those two seasons, the O2 Rail Cats and maybe the Gold Eyes last year, were pretty similar in the sense
Right.
that they were kind of in the race for the longest time. Just things kind of caught up to them and fell off a little bit at the end. But I think it was great to see the managers recognize the challenges that Rick and the players did face, and they were able to vote him as the manager of the year, much the way Joe was in the lower league in 2002. So can't say enough about Rick. It's been an honor to get to know him here over the last number of years, and we're looking forward to hopefully playing some games in Winnipeg this season.
I don't know if I ever shared this with you, but my first time there, I was so nervous when I met him because he's a big dude, and I'm kind of like, God, he looks like. I mean, I don't, because I mean, here I was. I'm not like I'm 20. I mean, I'm in my 40s at the time, but I'm like, oh, I hope I don't say anything wrong when I, interview him. And he was just a phenomenal guy, and I echo that. Winnipeg, love going. It's you guys are unique because you're the international team. I mean, you know, you're with the American Association, but you're the international team. So it has that flair to it. It's a great culture. It's a great place to go. I love going there. It has a really unique setup up there with the fans. It's a long time, baseball city. Tell us about that. Tell us about that baseball fandom up there. You guys have a really neat baseball fan group up there.
Yeah, it's unique for a couple of reasons. We're fortunate that we're in one of the larger markets, I guess, in terms
Mhm.
of population. But at the same time, I don't know if it's just because we're on the Canadian prairies, or we're small enough town, if that makes sense, where
Right.
you do get a little bit of that kind of small town feel, small town values. So it's kind of like it's like the Midwest of the North, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Having
sure,
spent a lot of
sure.
time in Wichita, so it's a
Yeah.
big city, but the people are really genuine. Can't say enough about all the people that I've met and know here since moving out here. So you're right, the culture is awesome. And then from the baseball standpoint, um, there was pro baseball here for a long time, different affiliates with the Cardinals and the Montreal Expos. It went away in the early 70s, and people wanted it back. And you know, the Blue Jays were big. They won the back-to-back World Series in the early 90s, but Toronto is very far away from Winnipeg. I mean,
Yeah.
Toronto is basically north of New York. Winnipeg is north of Dallas if you go straight up and
Sure.
down the North America. So
Oh
it's
yeah.
there's quite a bit of distance, and the closest big league team to Winnipeg, I guess, would be the Twins, which is still like a 6 or 7 hour drive. So there's no like there was no outlet if you were like a hardcore baseball fan to just jump in the car and go see a professional game. So I think that's why it was so huge when the Gold Eyes came back in 1994. That um, filled a void that had been missing there for 20 years, and we've been really fortunate fans came out then and supported the team and continue to do so to this day.
You're watching Monarchs Live. Dan Vaughn, voice of the Kansas City Monarchs, and our friend Steve Schuster with the Winnipeg Gold Eyes, chatting a little American Association here for you on a Tuesday. You guys start getting going. The hot stove's getting going. I mean, that's it. Every team kind of does it at their own pace. But I looked up. Oh gosh, it seemed like just a couple of weeks ago. Well, Gold Eyes had one or two. All of a sudden, boom, boom. You guys are starting to roll through them. Jose, your latest signee and relief, a good-looking reliever, has a little Joe Capietra connection. How is the roster overall? I mean, it's starting to get going now. You're starting to see signings going.
Yeah, we feel really good. I think all the teams look really good,
Yeah.
right? It's been interesting. We had Rick on our radio show last week, and he had mentioned, and I think you can kind of see this with the volume of moves at this point that you've seen from the managers, that because it looks like the minor league spring training is going to be pushed back a month, whereas normal year, like the big league team and all their affiliates would be in Arizona,
Yeah.
Florida at the same time. And
Yeah.
then the releases, which kind of produce some of the higher profile players that end up in the American Association, that usually takes place in mid to late March.
Right.
But with that being pushed back, the timeline now for those, say, AA, AAA guys is maybe mid-April to late April, right up against our spring training. And especially for us in Winnipeg, we're not sure what the turnaround time is going to be, if a guy coming to camp is going to have to go through quarantine. So I think Rick has maybe signed a few more guys than he otherwise would have at this point in the year, just to make sure that we have a solid core in place. And we'll kind of fill in the gaps here between now and the start of camp. But you can kind of see that with some of the other managers.
Sure. It's a competitive league. It's a great league. I mean, and I often say this: some really good teams don't make the postseason. There's some really good ball play, but over the years, you began at Wichita. For folks that don't know, Steve was Wichita. Oh gosh, what year were your first year in Wichita? You were from what? I know you were there in 13.
08 to 13.
So you've seen this league go from 08 until now. Always a pleasure to have you. And man, how you doing?
Yes, same here. Thanks for having me on, Dan. Great to see you as well. And the schedule came out a couple of weeks ago, so I think we're all just super excited to hopefully have something close to a normal year with everybody playing this year.
Yeah, that was a nice Christmas present for everyone. Late, of course, after the new year. I want to go back to 2020. I was inspired. We didn't play, obviously. The Monarchs, T-Bones at the time, Monarchs now didn't play. A little disappointed about it. I got to be honest with you. It was tough to not play and see a lot of you guys doing your thing. But I was inspired by you, by the Winnipeg Gold Eyes, just what you guys did. That was a hell of a challenge, I think, last year. Walk us through that. Was it as tough as it was, at least from what I see? It looked like a tough seat to watch. Was it as tough of a thing for you guys?
Yeah, well, first, hats off to Josh Buckholz and Josh Schaub for kind of pulling everything off. And for that matter, all the owners. I mean, the owners of the teams that did play and the owners of the teams that weren't able to play last year, for agreeing for that 16 league to kind of carry forward. And of course, to the players, the coaching staffs, and the managers for following the protocols and getting through from start to finish. I mean, it's pretty remarkable. I know there was a bit of a hiccup COVID-wise at the beginning of the year, but when all was said and done, there were only 2 games that got canceled the entire season, and it was the last day, and it was a rain out because they didn't matter in terms of the pennant race. So no games are lost at the end of the day to COVID. So just hats off to everybody that was involved. But I think we all had a blast. I mean, was it challenging to be on the road for the entire year? I mean, sure. But it really wasn't that different from, going on a road trip in previous seasons. You were just kind of on the road there for 2 months. And I think what helped mitigate some of that was we were all just appreciative to have the opportunity to play, because, the 6 teams that were in it in the American Association last year, they were the only teams across North America, professionally and minor league baseball wise, that were playing something close to a normal year with fans in the stands, with travel, where it looked like a normal season. So I think that kind of helped. I do think that towards the end of the year, and you kind of see how things shifted in terms of wins and losses for Winnipeg. That being on the road, I think the fatigue and facing some of the challenges you mentioned, I think that did maybe catch up to the players, but they fought hard to the very end. And even during that tough 11-game losing streak we had in August, there was never a point where you felt like they just gave up. They were gassed, so to speak. They were tired, fatigued, battling injuries, and a lot of that just kind of caught up to them. But they fought to the very end. They were able to kind of rebound that last week, even after they were eliminated. They were able to take 2 out of 3 from Milwaukee on the road there, and they were clearly the best team last year, Milwaukee. So I thought that was a nice way to finish up the season. But all in all, we were just appreciative to be able to play last year, and hats off to everybody that made it happen.
Yeah, it was a big hats off to a lot of folks. As a broadcaster, usually, and I'm using the word barnstorming, you really weren't a barnstorming team because you guys, it's just a slippery deal. But usually when a team doesn't play home games, they don't have a broadcaster. But you were in the unique situation you did. What were the challenges for you being the voice of the Gold Eyes? Obviously, we're used to being on the road, but for that long of a stretch, was that a challenge for you?
I wouldn't say so, honestly. I kind of embraced it. And, I guess I was in the same boat as some of the, really the players and the coaches
Right.
and everyone else, from the sense that I was just really excited to do it. I felt for you and like Benning and Brad and Connor
Sure.
Pine and everybody that didn't get to do it. This is what we love. This is what we live for. Doing the games, getting to the season, and just kind of getting lost in that 3 hours every night when the players take the field. So, I feel tired at the end like everybody else,
Sure.
absolutely. But I was just thrilled and grateful for the opportunity to be able to do games when so many other broadcasters weren't able to last year.
That voice is Steve Schuster. I'm Dan Vaughn. We're on Monarchs Live here. A little early day edition, a Tuesday as opposed to a Wednesday, but voiceless Winnipeg Gold Eyes. Now, Winnipeg, we're in the same league, but we don't see each other like we see like our brethren down in Cleveland. But from, I think, all Kansas City fans and association fans know where it really starts for the Gold Eyes, Rick Forney. Rick Forney, and he has the same characteristics. And I want to ask you this because you see him every day. I think of Greg Taggart. I think of George Samus, who's now in King County. Of course, my love for Joe Cafabiantra. Guys like that, they all have something in common. They're really good recruiters. Rick Forney's a really good recruiter, but I think what comes with that, he's a heck of a good guy too.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. I think all those guys you mentioned have a lot of things in common. They're great recruiters. I think they have very similar standards as far as the type of role that they want in the clubhouse. It's not just about bringing in the best players, but guys are going to kind of fit their system and their philosophy, and just foster a good clubhouse chemistry. Because you've been around this for a long time. It only takes 1 or 2 bad apples for things to maybe go a little bit sideways, and that can sometimes spill over into the wins and losses. But it's funny. If there's anybody that can maybe understand the grind of being on the road the whole year, it's Joe Calfapietra. Doing that with the Cats back in 2002. I think those 2 seasons, the 02 Rail Cats and maybe the Gold Eyes last year, were pretty similar in the sense that they were kind of in the race for the longest time. Just things kind of caught up to them and fell off a little bit at the end. But I think it was great to see the managers recognize the challenges that Rick and the players did face, and they were able to vote him as the manager of the year, much the way Joe was in the North League in 2002. So I can't say enough about Rick. It's been an honor to get to know him here over the last number of years, and we're looking forward to hopefully playing some games in Winnipeg this season.
I don't know if I ever shared this with you, but my first time there, I was so nervous when I met him because he's a big dude, and I'm kind of like, he looks like, I don't know.
Well,
a big thank you
like
to Steve Schuster for joining us there, and really cool guy, phenomenal guy. He has been one of those guys that's talking about steady, professional, and just a really good guy. Dan Vaughn with you back here on Monarchs Live. I do want to hear from you. I want to hear what you guys got going on. We can get your questions and comments in a moment. Some of you guys have fired off a few things there. But a big thanks to Steve Schuster for joining us. I'm going to check our audio to make sure we're all fired up and ready as well, and do a little producing on the fly. Something we can do, which is kind of cool. I never really thought that I would be sort of, there we go, let's do this one. There we go. That's kind of cool. Kind of like the fact I can kind of produce on the fly there. You like that? Welcome to Monarchs Live. It's the show about the Kansas City Monarchs and the American Association. And we love to talk baseball, Monarchs. Glad you're along. Again, my question for you folks is, what are you looking forward to the most for the upcoming Monarch season? What are you looking forward to the most? I will sort of start and give you what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody's smiling face again. Now, I know that sounds a little simple, but I'm really looking forward to that. It's been a long time, and it really came home talking to Steve. Now, I've seen Steve via Zoom, which well, haven't we seen everybody via Zoom, right? I've seen Steve via Zoom. But I haven't seen him in person, and he's not alone. There's all the broadcasting crew, and then I've seen my teammates in Kansas City a couple of times and a couple of trips up, but really, 2020, 21, kind of, especially 20, limited our contact with each other. I'm looking forward to, even if it's just a fist bump or an elbow bump or a pound or whatever, looking forward to it. The virtual hugs are great. I love virtual hugs, but a real hug. To see folks again, and it's one of those things, and I'll even share this. Talking to Steve and I talked extra off the air there just to chat, because we haven't really chatted one-on-one in some of the broadcasters. We talk for a living, like to do, but it's like when I've been fine watching church services online. It's fine, but being there in person is different. It's kind of like watching a ball game on TV, and to be there in person is different. Same thing. I was also touched about a couple things. The one thing that I really stood out to me was, and I think this is where you should probably start talking about more, as this season changes, or as 2021 changes, things kind of fluctuate with the big leagues and the minor leagues, and you got your vaccine here, states opening up, things that are of this nature. Things were fluid. Remember, the Major League Baseball has moved everything sort of back. The minor leagues have been shifted back. Usually by now your AAA, AA guys will be out there getting some big league at bats. There's a limited number of guys that are actually getting big league at bats this year than normal. You've got a lot more guys as non-roster invitees, but once they get those few at bats and they get whittled down, there's not going to be as many opportunities for younger guys to get those at bats in spring training. By contrast, a lot of guys just did get offered chances to come to, either got released before they got involved in the numbers game with fewer minor league teams. That all came up, of course, a few weeks ago. So that all is that dynamic's moving with the COVID, with the roster changes, with the minor leagues being moved back, with all the things that have been going on. Players were released earlier. I think I told you guys this back in the summer, that the Tigers, for example, released a ton of players prior to announcing that there would be no minor league season. They got rid of a lot of guys who probably would still been carried along, would have played in A ball and low A, but they were not going to be A and O A teams, and they released those guys early. So you got a lot of that. So Steve made a really good point. Something we talked about, that's going to be an evolving thing here. And you're going to see that the quality of play has been going up every year in the association, every year better, more, talk about the more big leaguers every year. Bigger and bigger numbers of big leaguers, AAA guys, AA guys. Number two, I believe Joe Campiatra, Rick Forney, George Samus, Greg Taggart, those are all names that come to mind. Steve Montgomery would be in that mix now. I think Steve's earned that label of guys that are good recruiters. But they all have something in common. And the two things that Steve and I think came up with, A, they're good recruiters, and B, they're good people. And certainly they look for really good people. And he's right on. It's something we've talked about a bunch of times. Joe Campiatra really cares about the quality of individual. I mean, you hit 300, but if you're a knucklehead, he didn't want you. You'll take the guy hitting 275 who's not a knucklehead. I mean, he wants non-knuckleheads. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we all want that. We want the knucklehead factor because that's all it is. Take the one bad apple, spoil the whole bunch. So I thought that was cool too. And just, I feel for the folks in Winnipeg. It's been tough. With the border restrictions and all that. And Steve and I didn't talk about it, but there's some concern there, and thoughts and prayers for them that things open up between the United States and Canada and make things a lot easier on a lot of people. But just a really phenomenal organization. They've done things right for a long time. Winnipeg's history in the Northern League prior to the association goes back to the 90s. The rivalries with St. Paul and the Fargos, the Sioux Falls goes a long way back. And they are really, it's a real neat place to go. I encourage you, if you want to do a road trip, I think that's a good place. It's international. You're out of the country. You can dust off your passport and use that American dollar. Just an idea. So thanks to Steve Schuster there for joining us there. A couple of things to catch up on. I'm going to see Brian out there. Steve asking, are there single game ticket prices yet? Morgan, are you watching now? Do you have that graphic for me? I don't know if I have that graphic in hand. Let me see if I can find that for you while we're going along here. But Nick was going to join us from tickets. He'll join us on the next show, which will be 2 weeks from tomorrow. He'll join us. I think is that right? I got my weeks. Yeah. My calendar in my head's kind of gone blank. It's because this show's usually a Wednesday show, so I'm kind of like, okay. But he's going to join us. He's real swamped with those ticket deals. Jim says, fun. That's what he's looking forward to. Joyce says, seeing what the sitting is for wheelchairs attendees and what prices will be. That's something she's looking forward to. Hey, amen. And then Steve said, I would like to see Kelvin Herrera pray for us. He just retired from the MLB. You're seeing, and I think we talked about that a moment ago with Steve Schuster from Winnipeg, there's more of those guys out there. There are a lot more out there. And I guarantee you, Joe Caff-Pietra, those headman, top step of the Monarchs dugout, will definitely be looking for those guys. Okay, hot stove update time. I didn't pull my hot stove update graphic, did I? Oh, well. That's what we can produce on the fly. That's how good we are. We can produce on the fly here, right? We can just do this, and we can do this. Glad you're along here on Monarchs Live. Dan Vama, the voice of your Kansas City Monarchs. And let me give you guys this right here, a little hot stove update. There we go. Winnipeg's is probably really blaring right now. Kansas City's in kind of a bit of a, I don't want to say lull. It's not a lull. It's a little quieter, not as much wood in the fire, but you're going to see things pick up to a degree here and there. And as I mentioned just a moment ago with the situation with the big leagues, you're going to see possibly more and more, more space. And I think you're going to see also, there's something Joe Caff-Pietra I know is working on, you're going to have some situations that come up, for example, and I'll just throw player A out, parts of 3 years in the big leagues, a lot of AAA time, had some success when he was there in the big leagues, maybe didn't stick, but an injury happens in the big club, and suddenly they're needing a left fielder or an outfielder or an extra whatever. They need somebody. And they're going to pluck guys that are in the American Association a lot quicker off these rosters than before. Because, again, there's fewer of those bodies in spring training, fewer AAA jobs. The AAA guys, few of them are there, but most AAA guys are slowly trickling in. You're going to see it working both ways, not just players coming into the American Association, but players also going to the major leagues as partnerships with Major League Baseball. Let's see what else we got here. Questions, comments. Again, I want to hear from you guys what you want to hear or what you want to see, what you're looking forward to here. Monarchs Live continues. This gentleman right here, very interesting pickup here. Zachary Weiss. Let me put that on the screen for you, full screen there. There you go. Right-hander, 6'3", 210, big fella. Joe Caff-Pietra saying Zach will be a big part of the 2021 club, having pitched the highest levels internationally, brings a lot to the table. This, again, I say it like a broken record. These guys, these type of players that Joe is grabbing out there, they all have a little something in common. There's a little oops, sorry about that. I mean to do that. Here we go. There's a little something in common with them. Let me put this up for you here too. Bring this down. A little highlight package as well. I can bring it down for you there. Sorry about that. There we go. A little highlight package as well. So little highlight montage of the right-hander, Zach Weiss. Now, he comes to us fairly highly touted. Now, a couple of things I love. You know that I love the international thing. He is now a citizen of Israel. You know where this is going, right? He's a member of Team Israel. Also a member of Team Israel, and we're going to talk. We've talked a lot about just the international game. I love the international game with my work in Australia, but Weiss, as an Israeli American, part of the Israeli national team, played for the Reds organization, reached the big leagues with the Reds. Let's see here, out of California. Pull a couple notes up here as well. He really, and this is what makes him interesting. He was highly thought of with the Reds organization, pitched the big leagues, some injury issues late. This is one of those guys that I think if you want to circle a guy on your roster or hey, watch this guy. And not that I want to see guys leave the Monarchs. I'm not saying that. But if you're a big league club, this is the kind of guy you've got a scout watching. Okay, well, I'm going to roll through Kansas City, watch Fargo and KC. I'm going to get a chance to see Zachary Weiss. And you're going to report back to the big club. Hey, you know what? He's on our fringe list, but this guy looks like he's ready to get a shot again. And he's partnered back with, or the partnership with the big leagues, American Association big leagues, has him with the big league organization because he's been there. He's climbed the ranks as a professional, had success again. AA. 2018 joined that Israeli national team in 2018-19 in their European Championship club that won the Euro Championships. Also won the qualifier in Africa in 2020. Assuming, now this is a big assumption, what happens at the Olympics in Tokyo? They're scheduled for the summer. Baseball would be on the menu, and then Israel's already qualified, so they got a chance to. He's going to be in the Olympics, so that's a very big plus. Young man out of Irvine, California, but again, is part of that Israeli national team. Reds drafted him 6th round in 2013. Arizona Fall League just kind of climbed steadily up the ladder. 2015, maybe his best year overall professionally there with Daytona in the high A ranks, the Tortugas at the time, and then also AA with Pensacola, the Blue Wahoos back in the 2015 season. Numbers for you overall for Weiss, drafted in the 10th round out of high school, but didn't sign. That was out of Northwood High School in Irvine, California. Went to University of California, Los Angeles. UCLA, yes, Jackie Robinson's college as well. But drafted out of UCLA, 2013. Mentioned that 15 season for him. In 2 stops in 15, he had a 1.98. And that was in 63 2/3 innings. Primarily a reliever, and that's pretty much what he's only started 5 games in his career, I believe. Overall, he is, 7 games in his career, starting 171 in the minor leagues as a reliever. This is a guy that's going to be a back-end piece. A lot of options back there. The way it looks on paper now, the shell game of how it's going to match up, Joe's got a pretty nice little matchup situation with a guy like Zach Weiss. But Zach Weiss, career overall, all levels, 30-31, 3.67, 495 in 2/3 innings, 493 strikeouts, and a whip of 1.277. So welcome, Zach Weiss, to the family, the Monarchs family. He will be in that bullpen, and again, also a member of Team Israel. As while we're here, I want to jump through this too and bring this to you guys. Some of you guys were asking about the roster, and I'm going to give you a little roster update here if I can. I think I can pull this up for you. Let's go ahead and do that. And welcome to Monarchs Live. Let me pull in why it's not coming down for us there. But anyway, screen looks good, so I'll leave it on there. What else we got here? Prices for concessions, fair prices. Yes, you'll see those, Jim. I believe you will see good prices. I don't think that's going to be anything that's going to be going to go away. Gary says, watching baseball in person will be so much fun again. Amen to that. I could not agree more with you. Want to have an adult beverage with one of the Vaughns at the game. Well, I'm sure that WD-40 will be very happy to oblige, and post-game I'll be happy to oblige. what I don't want to have happen, I'm getting a little derailed here, but I'll tell you the story. You guys know the story of the Midwest League when I was in Burlington, Iowa. Great bunch of fans there, small town environment, and they had a lot of a Tuesday beer special, Wednesday and Thursday, always a beer special. And the fans, because the grandstand was the press box would reach right out in the grandstand, so folks could come right up and think I was a PA guy and say, "Hey, will you announce my birthday?" And I'm the only air guy. No, that's the other window. Kind of like being in Sioux City, right? Very small environment. In Sioux City, they can hear the dinner plans of the folks below you. Well, the fans thought it was very important the broadcaster had adult beverages. So they would bring the adult beverage, little small keg cups on a Budweiser promotion night, and they're little $2 cups. And every fan would want to buy the broadcaster a beer. Now, of course, I'm thinking, do I look like Harry Carey? Do I sound like Harry Carey? Am I a Bud man? I don't know. But anyway, Brian, the fans would bring, and I'd get to the point where I had to get a little bucket up there, because if I would have had every one of those beers, you would have to wheel me out of the booth. Literally wheel me out of the booth. But I would, take a sip kind of, or just set it down. Thank you, sir. Or in some cases I would, if text a friend or a family member, well, not text, but wave at a family or friend member, hey, come up here. And a couple of folks eventually knew the bit when they would come up there and hang in the booth. I would kind of pass them back to some folks I knew. But yeah, because those old, they would be lined up in the, they'd just bring them to me. And like, I'm like, what do you guys think I'm going to do, dear? Am I Frank the Tank? I mean, come on here. So yeah, Brian, looking forward to having you as well. Having everybody out there at the ballpark this summer. All right. Show continues. The show is Monarchs Live. Dan Vaughn with you here, voice of the Kansas City Monarchs. I like this little overlay. Do you guys like that? Question is, what are you guys looking forward to most of the upcoming Monarchs season? I want to hear from you. Glad you guys are along. All right. Let's reset the show here. And this is what we're going to do. If you missed it so far, you've missed. We had Steve Schuster on a few minutes ago, and our special guest, the Winnipeg Gold Eyes. There he is. This is the part of the show that I put my professor's cap on. I sort of, I don't know. Do I think I'm smart? Am I smart? I don't know. I'm not sure what the case may be, but it's a part of the show we call Monarchs 101. Let's take it away. Here we go. Yeah, I feel like I should have maybe a professor's cap. Is there something like that? I mean, I don't know. It's one of the few times now. My lovely wife is an educator. She's getting her doctorate at SMU. She's a phenomenal. Got 9 degrees. I've got one. Very proud of my Red Raider degree. Very proud of it. But I just got one from Texas Tech. But history sort of makes me smarter. At least I feel like it. It's the subject besides broadcast media that I was most successful at. And this is going back to elementary school. Math, science, English, well, sort of. But it was, for me, it's always been history. So I love this diving in here. So allow me to do that. By the way, Cheryl says, looking forward to getting outdoors, great baseball and ballpark food and fun. Cheryl, man, that sounds like a good idea. Doesn't that sound good? And before I move on Cheryl's comment, I'm not a Yankees fan or a Blue Jays fan. Don't like either team. They're playing on Sunday afternoon. We came back from church. We're sitting here having lunch. Turn the TV on. What's on? Baseball. And dang it, if my wife and I didn't watch 4 innings of 2 teams that I don't have much desire to watch in spring training. Why? Because at the end of the tunnel, way off in the distance, it's not that big, there's a light. It was the first time I felt like, man, this could actually be at some point, although we'll be wearing our masks. We'll be wearing our masks, but at some point we could have some semblance of normalcy. So yes, good point, Cheryl. Okay, I've been reading, I meant to mention this. This is the Kansas City Monarchs champions of black baseball, Janet Bruce. I'm pretty sure the museum carries it. I'm almost positive they do. This is a good little intro book for our 101 class. I mentioned today's topic or today's subject matter several times. I really would like to dive in more to this gentleman. I think one of the reasons is because I think I feel some kinship with this gentleman. And it's not just because we both are on the same ethnic origin. I think it's because we both share some of the I don't know, but what research I've done, I think we both share very common feelings about the way things should be and the way things ought to be and the way things should be going forward. And I think this gentleman was well ahead of his time, J.L. Wilkinson, who is the founding father of the Negro League's Kansas City Monarchs. Now, he's a very interesting study. And the more I read about him, I'm going to see Jeff out there as well. The more I read about him, the more I realized this is not a guy we can just talk about in one chapter. Because the more behind the scenes I realized he was, and he was behind the scenes, literally a guy behind the scenes, the more I've realized that J.L. Wilkinson is actually should be out in front, but we don't know that. We don't really, he's not the guy that we talk about as much. Now, granted, he's talked about a lot at the museum, but I think and again, players are the ones who really are the ones that we should get the promotion. I agree. I totally get with that. But he's behind the scenes a lot, and I don't know his story's been told to the proper degree. And I think there's a lot of opportunity there for Hollywood to do, perhaps with Tay Diggs to do I know he was interested in doing this. I know Bob Kendrick and him talked about this on a Facebook thing they did a couple weeks ago with the museum about doing some kind of, and why they haven't done a Negro Leagues mini thing on HBO or Showtime. I mean, that whole look into that part of the game was really cool in the movie 42. I love looking at those parts of the game, even in the Ken Burns piece, but we haven't seen really an in-depth look at the baseball game. And this is one of those people that you would look at and go, wow, haven't I heard this guy before? Why haven't I? But J.L. Wilkinson, Wilkie, they called him. And we're going to start with his early years, because that's where we're going to start with 101 today. He's a very interesting guy. First off, let me give you this would have been him. Here's his this would have been the picture. This actually is courtesy of his grandson who lives in St. Louis, I believe. But this one, we'll bring this down here. There you go, here on Monarchs Live. There is Joe. This is in latter years. This has been probably that classic look in the 40s, pretty much, right? With the fedora and the suit. That's kind of what the dudes wore. It doesn't matter where part of the country you were. That's what you saw, right? That's the look. J.L. Wilkinson, that's what you would have seen Wilkinson in his years, really as the lead executive, the lead promoter, really the guy ahead of his time. We talk a lot about some of the pioneers of of Major League Baseball and minor leagues. Think of the Bill Veeck types. Of course, son Mike Veeck with the St. Paul Saints. This guy was ahead of his time, and it all began early on. He's born in Iowa, a small town in Iowa. I believe it was, let's see here if I got that in my notes here, just outside of Des Moines, I believe. But was born in a small town of Iowa as a young man. Let me bring that up for you here. Let's see, I got a picture of him from the Hall of Fame here. See, I've been teaching class. You can kind of take notes. And here we go. We got the actual hometown, because this would be a bonus question on your test. Born in Algona, Iowa, is what my notes say here, and inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in 2006. Okay, he died, I believe, in 1964. So quite a few. The discovery of his greatness came down the road, but born in Iowa, his family was involved in his father was a superintendent of schools in that little town. And then his dad decided to move to Des Moines and went to real estate. So took the family to Des Moines, and that's where he spent his formative years growing up in the Des Moines area. Dad was in real estate. He went from there, moving there. He became a pitcher. Fascinated with baseball. He was a pitcher. We've talked about this before. When guys got injured in, say, 1910, you blew your arm out, you probably blew your arm out. Well, that's the way it went, right? Well, he had an injury with his wrist in if you're going to throw a curveball or anything, you got to have the arm action is important, but also the final thing when you're throwing. And Steve Schuster, we're talking about sliders earlier. It's that last little movement of the wrist. He hurt his wrist. He couldn't get that wrist healed. It didn't heal properly. It became chronic. So he went from being a player to being the baseball promoter of his team. And what happened? He started a team. He was actually playing for a team, and they were called the Hopkins. I got to pull up my book here. Sorry about that. They were called here we go back. I'm back. I didn't mark my place here. Hopkins Brothers was I believe Hopkins Brothers, and this is not uncommon throughout that part, the United States back in the 1900s. Factory leagues, textile leagues. We've talked about that. Shoeless Joe Jackson played for a factory team before he went to the minor leagues. Oftentimes, companies, corporations had teams, and their players came from their company. And this was the Hopkins Brothers. He played with the Hopkins Brothers, who were the well-known team, amateur team there in the Des Moines area. He got hurt and was forced to become a leader of the ball club. And what he went through was he went through a metamorphosis a little bit. And what became now, the interesting part about the story is the original Monarchs could chase their history to a team that J.L. Wilkinson had, that he put together in the Des Moines area, called the All Nations team. Now, it's just what it sounds like. Almost sounds like the United Nations All-Star team. It's what it was. He took this Hopkins Brothers, turned it into an All Nations, the All Nations team. Between the Hopkins Brothers and the All Nations was a team of kind of a carnival atmosphere, where he had a team of women's baseball team. This is the 1900s, maybe 1902, women's baseball team, and they would travel with the band and they'd have wrestling matches before the game with between a couple of big wrestlers, and the women would play baseball. And it was a traveling. The word circus is wrong, but a traveling event. That morphed into what became known as the All Nations team. The All Nations was what it was. It was had Polynesians, had Hispanics, had blacks, had whites. It was literally a mix of everyone. He got the best ball players he could get, whether it be it didn't matter. He wanted the best players. You're Hawaiian, you can play, you're on the team. That's kind of how it was, right? So that was the All Nations team. The All Nations team became a barnstorming team and would go across the Midwest. They had their own Pullman car, as a matter of fact, their own Pullman car. There's actually a photo. I'm going to show you this, but here's a picture of the Pullman car. You know what the Pullman car is for your history buffs? The Pullman car, it's the old coach. There you go. See it right there. Sorry about that. Focus that a bit. There you go. That's the Pullman car, of course, the old school train. Their own first-class Pullman car for the All Nations team. And here is the original photo of the team right there. But this team, the All Nations team, again, was J.L. Wilkinson's first foray in baseball, that he really took it to the next level. And the All Nations team crisscrossed throughout the Midwest. I'm coming from the book that Janet Bruce wrote. Missouri, Kansas, Iowa, Nebraska, Minnie, and Wisconsin. They traveled. That specially built coach cost them $25,000 to build that special. It's like having their own bus, right? He's way ahead of his time. I mean, you think Bull Durham had their own bus? They did. They were on the highway. They were way ahead of their time, right? But they all traveled together. And they also brought together other elements of entertainment. I mentioned the wrestling with the women's team. When they became the All Nations team, they had a band. Some of the players actually played, and I don't know if I can find it here for you. For example, pitcher Jose Melendez. We're going to talk about him down the road. Probably the most heralded player to ever come out of Cuba. Played the cornet, and he would play the cornet in the band. Some of these players played in the bands. They'd have a pregame band and hype you up, and they'd have some entertainment, but they get you going. I mean, they had their own music with them before sound systems. That's how ahead of this time he was. He had his own sound system. He had his own extra entertainment, his own cheering section, everything. He had all that, and their own Pullman coach. They'd pull into town, stage the ball game, a dance, also maybe a wrestling match, like little extra entertainment. If he had promotions on the side, he had extra inning entertainment before extra inning entertainment became available, right? I mean, he had that. Pitcher John Donaldson, who became a lifelong friend of Wilkinson, of course, was a member of the Monarchs 1924 team, said we all slept, played together. There was never any trouble. We were a very happy family. They were a big traveling show. So this all-nations team eventually kind of outgrew themselves. Wilkinson decides, I'm going to move to from Des Moines to Kansas City. Better railroad connections for that Pullman coach, better access to that network of railroad across the Midwest. Although Des Moines is okay, but Kansas City with the stockyards, the shipping going east-west, north-south, perfect place to be in the middle and go anywhere you wanted to. And so that's where the chapter will stop today. But J.L. Wilkinson, who is the founding father of the Monarchs, J.L. Wilkinson, Wilkie Wilkinson, and I'll show you a couple pictures of him too, as a player, was going to be a ball player. And then the injury, here's actually a picture of him outside one of the old school locomotive, or old school ballpark. This photo sold for $4,000. Yeah, but he's actually outside what looks like a Pullman coach there, doesn't it? That is him in his coach playing days. He still would wear the uniform as a manager, but there he is outside the Pullman coach on the road somewhere. That original photo, fetched $4,000. And let me give you one more thing here too. Here he is. This would have been them. Let's see here. Here's a picture. This is actually a photo of. Get this for you here. This is a photo of the women's team, and it would be there's 4 or 5 young ladies, and they didn't have enough women. They'd throw a couple guys on there. That was the original team that he had first, and morphed into the All Nations team, which I'll share the picture of the All Nations team here, as they are right here. And the All Nations, who are what eventually became the Kansas City Monarchs. And when they went to Kansas City, let me show you this here somewhere. Actually, here's a picture of J.L. Wilkinson in his early years, in his familiar suit and his the hat. This obviously the hat kind of tells you when this was. That would have been definitely the teens, but there you go right there. And he moved the team from Des Moines to Kansas City. The All Nations were there in 1920 and eventually became the Kansas City Monarchs. We're going to get to that part of the story next week 2 weeks' time on our Monarchs 101 right here. Let's take it away. A little closing jam for you right here on the Monarchs 101, right? We always do that. All right, here we go. Feeling very smart. That's right. So Monarchs 101. Sorry, and I thought about doing that, recording it maybe, and kind of doing it like that and keeping it short to the point, but I kind of want to teach the class a little bit. So bear with me as I kind of morph through this thing. I may work into put in some video package for you where I can record it separately. Maybe I'd love to go down to the museum and shoot some of these things for the season at the museum, maybe doing a museum minute or something. But I like the teaching it, talking you through that. Give me a couple of things, and again, maybe if I don't work out as a broadcaster, I can teach a class. That's kind of what I'm saying. Let's play catch up here as we round third, head for home here. Let's see here. Thank you very much, Nicholas. I appreciate your kind words. You're very good, mate. Appreciate it. Is this a top 2 rotation? I've had a hard time saying. Let me go through that real quickly here. It's time to score. It's time for some basement. Okay, let's pull. Let me pull that up for you. I don't want to give you what I think the rotation will be, but I'll kind of give you maybe not what I think, how it could look. Let me pull this up. I brought this up for you guys. This is the actual roster. Put this on the screen for you. There we go. This is the roster of the pitchers right now. All 12 of them currently under contract. Baker, Bostic. I think Bostic's obviously a starter. Baker a starter right now. Frank Duncan would be a starter as well. I think from there, it's going to be interesting to see how it shakes out. I would think it could possibly Stout, which is a lefty. I think Joe would like to have a lefty. You've got a lot of bullpen depth. We talked about Weiss, Treviso, McGrain, which I'm trying to get Jameson on. He's actually standing by to be on the show in a couple weeks. Carlos Diaz, obviously, Brian Ellington. Glowicki, I don't know. I think he probably slots in as a long guy or starter, but just kind of off the top of my head, McCreary also a bullpen piece. You've got a lot of really deep bullpen pieces there. So, but I would think right now your rotations, Baker, Bostic, or I don't. This is not in order necessarily, but I think Baker, Bostic, Duncan for sure, and then probably Lennox and Stout in the mix there as well. I would think, and some of it's also going to come to this as well. Where are guys thinking their best pathway back is? And I'm sure Joe's had this conversation. Hey, what are you trying to do? You want to get you want to start, you want to relieve. What is it? What is it the big club wants you to do? And maybe it's like, hey, go to the association, show us what you can do as a reliever, or want you to be converted as a starter. So there you go. There's your pitching staff right there. Let me give you this too. I brought this from you as well. I brought this for you as well, for you. Let me give this to you. Here's your infielders. A lot of them. Now, this looks a little deceiving, this group. There's 8 of them. Obviously, you're not going to carry 8 infielders. I think there's some potential that a couple of these guys, as we know, have played the outfield. Kevin Santa, for example, has played the outfield. I think Ramsey Romano could play the outfield. I don't know if he will. I think Ramsey probably plays third base for you and plays second, third, and short, all 3 for you. I think I know Ty Kelly could definitely transition there. I would think, and we know that Cologne can as well. I think there's possibilities there. They're all listed as infielders, but I think there's definitely some shakeout there. But that's a good-looking group right there. You got a big leaguer right there at the top of it. You got some guys there. And what I want you to look at, too, switch left. You got 4 lefty bats, one of them being a switch of the 8. So right there. Of course, you got a couple MLB guys there and 2 AAA guys. And you got some mix in there. I think a guy that I'm looking forward to seeing that I think will probably be kind of, I don't want to say, it's a lot of pressure to put on a kid. The breakout star of the club could be Kinger. It could be that. It could be him. He kind of seems like a guy that's kind of, the engine's kind of running and he hasn't really a chance of full throttle yet. I think he's got a chance of full throttle. Let's check out your outfielders and your catchers. Only got the couple of catchers as well, and you guys know this. But this is a group that this is what you're going to be set with, and I think there's no doubt that this is a good group. A good duo, Roy Morales and Wazinger. Wazinger to switch hits. That's a +2. Get you a late pinch hit opportunity. And, of course, Roy Morales, what can you say about him, the young man from Puerto Rico? He could be the sky's the limit. I think he is a guy that within a year and a half's time will be in AAA knocking on the big league door. I think he's got the tools. He's got the ability. And I think he's going to get a chance with this new – one of these guys is going to really stand to benefit with this new showcase relationship with the MLB, this partnership, I guess is the better word to say it, with MLB and the American Association. Okay, let's see. Oh, and your infielders too. I'm sorry, your outfielders. Pardon me. That's what we're getting to. I skipped over the outfielders. Outfielder-wise, pretty good group. Again, I think you're going to see 2 more, whether it be Santa, Kelly, Cologne mixed in there as well. But and I think Ty Kelly, boy, if he's here the whole time, look out. It could be MVP type player in the association. Grotjan, Jan Hernandez is another guy that has MVP material written on him, I believe, in this league. And, of course, Darnell Sweeney was in the MVP mix as well. He was a top 4 vote getter in the league last year, that department. Definitely looking forward to seeing that. You've got some depth there. Again, on paper, gotta love that whole look. All right, the show's Monarchs Live. I'm Dan Vaughn, voice of Kansas City Monarchs. Your questions, comments, fire them away. I'm here for you. What do you got? I do want to hear your final thoughts on what you're looking forward to the most for the upcoming Kansas City Monarchs season. I love saying that. I've also got in the point of saying formerly the Kansas City T-Bones. I'm telling myself I've got slotted in the back of my brain. Anyway. What do you guys got? Website is moving forward as well. I want to give you a shout out to Morgan. I know she's working hard on that. Morgan's working hard on a lot of stuff and what she's doing. I know she's working behind the scenes and they're working on that. A couple items as well to pass along to you. that I want to get to. First off, we just passed through the month of February, which is Black History Month, and I really have enjoyed this relationship with the museum, our ball club, and just in general. And I think I told you earlier, the whole Wilkinson angle, I feel some kind of kinship to him. I believe as a voice of the ball club, I need to also voice, this story and tell this Rain Reborn story. I've had a chance to be involved with a couple of the Zoom shows. The museum is doing great stuff. And I encourage you folks to check that out. Let me put that up on the screen too as well. Sorry about that. Need to cough in the ears there for you. Let's see here. Oh, sorry about that. That's what you do when you're producing your own show. You just kind of, talk amongst yourselves. There we go. I encourage you to follow them on Twitter. They got great content. Also, the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum, KC, that's their Twitter handle. But also, just go and do a web search, their website, their Facebook page. They're doing some great stuff there. As a matter of fact, I want to share one with you right here. This is actually with us. This is kind of a cool thing that we and them put together. And let me give this to you. So I'm going to screen share this. So let me get this. This is great work from Morgan and from the folks in the museum and from the ball club. Let me screen share this. Hold on just a second. Hold on just a second. Oops, sorry. I want to go just too fast here. I got to screen share this. There we go. I don't have a copy of this, so I have to screen share it. So bear with me just a moment. Here we go. And let's go ahead and play this for you guys right here. Let me bring this into the system here. Come on, there we go. Check this out. This is really pretty cool. This is something that was on our Twitter page today and yesterday. I guess it was yesterday, actually. And I think it'd be something really these are the kind of things that we get to do. And I love it. It's a kind of extra bonus odds and ends we're doing that are really cool. So let me play this for you here. Give me just a moment to get it rolling, and we will roll it now. Here we go. Great stuff there, really great stuff there, and that's the kind of things that we're able to do. That we there we go. Stop that there. It's the kind of things that we can do as the Monarchs, and I think you folks are going to really enjoy. Again, the 101, for example, for me about J.L. Wilkinson is something that I would have talked about maybe at some point in my career, but diving in head first to be a part of that, understand what he was all about, and understand really his influence in the game, what the Monarchs meant, and how he treated the ball players. We're going to get to a lot of that next week. Just the opportunities for us as a ball club, as a brand, are phenomenal. And I hope you guys are enjoying that. And I want to just tip the cap to those folks. A couple little items you scatter shoot as well, but that's a really good piece right there. But that's the kind of things we're doing. Coming up, folks. This is really cool. Did you guys see this? It's real. It's real. First home series graphic right there. There you go. Great stuff from Morgan. There you go. Right there. See at the ballpark as well. Don't forget opening day coming up on May 18th. And don't forget opening day is opening day. It's not opening evening. It's not opening night. It's opening day. And we'll be doing the opening day special game time right there. Opening day right there on the 3 o'clock start. Of course, Lincoln, the Salties come in for that 3-game series, and the Fargos, a little road trip, and back again. We're going to break that. We'll get to more of that down the road, but right there, opening day series, already got that up. You couldn't read my lips. Was that not here? No sound. You guys aren't hearing me now? Oh, no. That's not good for business. It's real. Okay. Sorry about that. Did I mute that? Sorry about that. Did you guys not hear the video? What you're telling me? No sound in the video? Did you guys not hear the video? Did I drop the ball in the video? Somebody tell me out there if they didn't. If you didn't hear the video. But anyway, there you go. Opening series right there. And the best thing to do is to let me know here. You say you can't read the lips. I did you not hear me out there, guys? No, okay. Let me try it again. Let me try it again. I'm sorry. I heard the video myself. Let me try it again for you guys. Let's get it to you one more time. Let me hide this. This is what you do. Now, if you're working for ESPN or Fox Sports or whatever, you've got folks do this for you. This is what you do when you're a one-man band. Let me try it again for you. Let me screen share this. I do apologize. Let's see here. Did I just have it muted? Is that what I had happen? Let's try it again and see if it will work for us. Give me just a moment here. Okay, let me try it again. I'm sorry. Huh. That's weird. That is weird why it's muting. I don't know why it's muting, folks. But anyway, I'm sorry about that. I'm really sorry. I don't know why it's muting. I don't know why it would mute. It's really weird. I don't know why it's doing that. Huh. I'm hearing it in my ears, but you guys aren't hearing it. So I'm sorry about that. Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know. Sorry about that. I almost had a really good show. I almost had a really A show. Instead, it's going to be an F because I flunked it right there. Well, you can go to our Facebook page or our Twitter. That video is on there. So I encourage you to go there and check that out. I'm sorry. I do apologize. I don't know why that's not working for us. It should. But again, oh well. Oh well. Okay. Yeah, sorry, guys. Yeah, sorry. I let you down. And you know, this is going to pretty much drive me insane all day. I'm going to lose my mind then I got off the air. Oh, I don't want this show to suck, and that sucked. I'm sorry about that, guys. Okay, mentioning a couple of things, too. I mentioned this, of course, opening day or opening series. Don't forget that you can also do this, as we want to bring that. Sorry, I'm kind of all over the place here. Members are available. Those membership plans are available. And check those out. The members, become a Monarchs member. The best thing to do, and I really encourage you guys to do this, is to go to monarchsbaseball.com and check it out. That to me is the place to go. There he goes, right there, website right there, monarchsbaseball.com. Check it out, become a Monarchs member, and that is where you go. All the information there, tickets, merch, everything. It's starting to really ramp up. I can tell you this too, the website will be growing. It's in a process of growing right now, and there's always going to be some new things coming for us left and right. I mean, just like a fastball. Boom, boom, boom. We're throwing strikes coming right at you. Although this show didn't throw strikes. This show threw strikes and got lit up late. So sorry about that. But a big thanks to Steve Schuster, voice of the Winnipeg Gold Eyes, for joining me. I really appreciate his time. He's a really cool guy, really nice young man. And thanks to Morgan for her help with the graphics and things that she does. Thanks to me for my production work. Big thanks to me. A big thanks to all of you. You guys, gals, fans worldwide are awesome. Also, I encourage you to go ahead when you like our page, like our Facebook page, and get notified. You'll know when we have a Hot Stove update. Boom, you're going to get it from me. When you get a Monarchs Live, boom, you're going to get it right here. All the things we do, you'll get those notifications if you follow us and get those notifications. Like our page there on Facebook. We got some other things coming as well. Working on that. So we'll be expanding our footprint for our broadcasting media. And eventually, hopefully, we'll be able to press and play and the audio work. That's the hope, too. But again, monarchsbaseball.com. Other places to follow us as well. You can do that is we've got all of our social channels as we pull those up for you. All of our social channels are up for you. There we go. There's our Twitter handle right there, KC Monarchs. Always our good updates right there. We got you covered with all that. Also mention our folks, the Friends of the Museum. And, of course, you can follow follow me on Twitter. There we go. Dan Vaughn Jr. as well. And I appreciate that follow. I'll follow you back as well. And if you have any questions, comments, there's my email. I'll answer what I can answer for you if I didn't answer it in the show. And last call for questions right here. Last call for questions here on the show as we wrap this thing up. I say this every time, and I mean this, you guys are the best, and I miss you. And there's so much love I have for all of y'all, and I can't wait to see you, hug your necks, give you a fist bump or whatever. And I firmly believe this, in this crazy, crazy age we're in now, that we must be better tomorrow than we were today. We must continue to show love, empathy, and just be better fans of the American Association, better fans of our game. Continue to be better to each other and celebrate Reign Reborn and the great story that is the Kansas City Monarchs and the Reign Reborn of the Kansas City Monarchs. Big thanks to the entire Monarchs family, the front office, and everybody who supports me on these broadcasts. And a big thanks to you, the best fans in the American Association, the fans of the Kansas City Monarchs. Go Monarchs, go. We'll see you guys coming up in 2 weeks' time. We'll do that. I'll update you as well. And we may be actually coming to you from tropical climes. All I'm going to say, if my wife will let me. Okay, let's roll the close. Love you guys. We'll see y'all then. Thanks for joining me, and have a great rest of your week, everybody. Go Monarchs!